Have you ever thought about what your old age will be like? Do you imagine quiet days spent in serenity, surrounded by the affection of your loved ones, or perhaps you fear loneliness, loss of energy, and dependence on others? And have you ever thought that to live well with yourself, you should eliminate bad habits, useless burdens that you have been carrying around for years? Old age can be a wonderful time, a time of wisdom, peace, and freedom. But to reach it, we must learn to let go of what no longer serves us. And if you stay until the end of this video, you will discover 10 things you can let go of after 61 to live a fuller, lighter, and happier life. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to stay updated. The wise Buddhist monk Hiro, with his long white beard and eyes shining with wisdom, addressed the pilgrims gathered in the temple. The afternoon sun filtered through the leaves of the ancient trees, creating an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. Dear friends, Hiro began in a gentle voice. Life is an extraordinary journey, full of changes and transformations. There comes a time when we realize that what once seemed important is no longer important. After the age of 61, life takes on a different pace, more calm and thoughtful. And with this new phase comes the wisdom of understanding that many of the things that concerned us in the past are no longer of the same value. Hiro paused, letting his words settle in the air. Today, I want to share with you 10 things that, after the age of 61, are no longer necessary to live a peaceful and fulfilling life. Perhaps, by reflecting on each of them, you too will begin to feel the relief and lightness that accompany true inner peace. Seeking others' approval, for too long we have tried to please everyone, to live up to other people's expectations. We have shaped our decisions, our behavior, and even our dreams based on what we thought other people wanted from us. But now is the time to free ourselves from this pressure. True freedom comes when we are authentic, true to ourselves and our values. Hiro told the story of a woman named Akiko, who had spent her entire life trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect wife, the perfect mother. She had sacrificed her dreams and passions to meet the expectations of others. But after the age of 60, Akiko realized that this constant search for approval had made her unhappy. She then decided to devote herself to painting, an activity that she had always loved but had put aside for fear of other people's judgment. And so finally, Akiko found her true voice and her happiness. Grudges and old wounds, the past cannot be changed. Holding on to resentment only prevents us from moving forward. Forgiveness, towards others and towards ourselves, frees us from the weight of pain and allows us to live more lightly. Hiro reminded the pilgrims of the story of two old friends, Taro and Jiro, who had argued many years ago over an inheritance. Since then, they had not spoken to each other. But one day, Taro, now old, decided to go and see Jiro. He knocked on his door with his heart in his throat. Jiro opened and, seeing his old friend, hugged him. The two talked for a long time, remembering the good times gone by and forgiving each other. From that day on, their friendship resumed, stronger than ever. Excessive attachment to material goods. True wealth lies not in the things we possess, but in the inner peace and relationships we cultivate. Simplifying our material life allows us to focus on what really matters. Hiro told the story of a rich man named Hiroshi, who owned a large house, many cars, and luxury items. But despite his wealth, Hiroshi was not happy. He felt lonely and empty. One day, he decided to sell most of his possessions and move to a small house in the countryside. There, he began to grow vegetables, take long walks in nature, and spend more time with his family. And so Hiroshi discovered that true happiness did not lie in material things, but in simplicity and love. Excessive concern for appearance, true beauty lies in the serenity and confidence we have acquired over the years. Accepting the changes in our bodies and aging gracefully is an act of self-love. Hiro spoke of an elderly woman named Fumiko, who had always been very vain. She spent hours in front of the mirror, trying to hide her wrinkles and gray hairs. But one day, Fumiko realized that this obsession with appearance was making her unhappy. She decided to accept her body as it was, with all the signs of aging. And so, Fumiko discovered that true beauty was not in external appearance, but in the serenity and wisdom that emanated from it. Working tirelessly without purpose, work should not be a source of stress or wear and tear. Now is the time to find activities that fill us with joy and satisfaction, or simply enjoy the freedom of doing nothing. Hiro told the story of a man named Kenji, who had worked all his life as an accountant. It was a job that did not excite him, but it allowed him to support his family. After retirement, Kenji felt lost. He did not know what to do with his time. One day, he decided to sign up for a cooking class. He discovered that he had a natural talent and began preparing delicious dishes for his family and friends. Cooking became his new passion, something that filled him with joy and satisfaction. Toxic or negative relationships' time is precious. There is no point in holding on to it. Relationships that cause us more pain than joy. Let's surround ourselves with people who support us and appreciate us for who we are. Hiro talked about a woman named Yumi who had a longtime friend named Hana. Hana had always been very critical and negative, and Yumi often felt belittled and unhappy after spending time with her. But Yumi was afraid of losing Hana's friendship, so she continued to hang out with her, even though it hurt her. One day, Yumi decided to be honest with Hana and tell her how she felt. Hana didn't take her words well, and their friendship ended. Yumi was sad, but at the same time she felt relieved. She finally had the courage to walk away from a toxic relationship and make room for positive, supportive people in her life. The rush and frenzy of everyday life shouldn't be lived in a rush. Slowing down, savoring each moment, and living more calmly allows us to appreciate the beauty of the present. Hiro invited the pilgrims to imagine a day without rushing, without pressing commitments, without the need to rush from one place to another. A day in which they could wake up calmly, have breakfast without looking at the clock, read a book, take a walk in the park, chat with a friend. A day in which they could stop to admire a sunset, listen to the birds singing, breathe the fresh air. A day in which they could simply be without having to do. Blaming yourself for past decisions, we all make mistakes. We learn from them and move on. Releasing guilt allows us to live fully in the present. Hiro told the story of a man named Takeshi, who felt guilty for leaving his hometown many years ago in search of a better job. He had left his family and friends behind, and now, as an old man, he wondered if he had made the right choice. But Hiro reminded him that every decision, even the ones that seem wrong, teaches us something. Takeshi had learned a lot from his experience, met new people, seen new places, and now he could use that wisdom to live his present with more gratitude and serenity. Fear of growing old is a natural and precious part of life. Each stage brings new beauty and opportunities. Let's embrace the wisdom and peace that comes with age. Hiro described an older woman named Mitsuko who had always been very active and independent. But as she got older, Mitsuko began to worry about losing her independence. She feared she would become a burden to her family and would no longer be able to do the things she loved. But one day, Mitsuko met a group of older people who met weekly for yoga and meditation. She joined them and discovered that even though her body was no longer what it once was, she could still move, breathe, and find inner peace. Mitsuko learned to appreciate the wisdom and peace that age had brought her, and to live each day with gratitude. The need to control everything in life is unpredictable. Accepting that we cannot control everything frees us from anxiety and allows us to flow with events, finding peace even in uncertainty. Hiro spoke of a man named Daisuke, who had always been a perfectionist. He wanted everything to be under control, planned every detail of his life, and became upset when things didn't go according to plan. But as Daisuke grew older, he began to understand that life is full of surprises and that we cannot control everything that happens. He learned to accept uncertainty, to let go, and to trust the flow of life. And so Daisuke found a peace he had never known before. Hiro concluded his speech with a serene smile. Dear friends, life after 61 can be the most beautiful and fulfilling of all. By freeing ourselves from these useless burdens, we can live with more lightness, wisdom, and joy.